Hey there, Deb here, with a few words about the new channel healing course. And there's been a few comments on Facebook, people questioning, well, what's new about this? And I think what they're referring to is the use of like walls and barriers to teach dogs heel position. I think it's pretty common where you put your dog between yourself and a wall to teach that early heel position. And perhaps they're also thinking of methods where you're teaching dogs to pivot around a cone. Now, I trained my dogs to heel via Sylvia Turkman's method, which is first teaching them to pivot with front feet on a raised surface, and then having them pivot into heel position and doing a lot of stationary reinforcement and adding one step. I can't recall the details of how she starts, but it made perfect sense and it worked well. But let me explain how this healing technique came to be. That I'm teaching a new way of approaching foundation skills with new dog trainers and pet dogs. And I'm doing this for Marin Humane, which is located in the San Francisco Bay Area. And the goal was to find a way that makes it fun for instructors to teach new dog trainers. And everybody was kind of reluctant to do it because it was such an effort to, teach people everything they needed to know to be able to be successful in agility with the history of maybe just a couple of family dog classes. So what I did is developed a curriculum that was based on minimizing errors by the dogs so that the human students could learn how to be dog trainers. Now, I didn't have that clarity up front, but after I looked back at the curriculum from the vantage point one sees in the future, that 2020 vision, I realized that if you can set things up so that the dogs are successful, the handler has an opportunity to take in instruction, to listen to what's being spoken to them, and to begin to practice good training mechanics. And the way I see dog training is if the human and the dog are both present and they're both responding to each other, meaning they're both seeing each other, they're both listening to each other, that dog training is like a shared language. But if the human doesn't have the capacity, due to the lack of experience, to give the dog clear, concise feedback, then that communication system breaks down and the dog tends to disconnect and look for something else to do because there's confusion involved in what's happening. So by focusing on simple setups using props in innovative ways that allowed instructors such as myself and two other instructors that worked the program with me so that we could develop a curriculum that any instructor could follow, we were able to coach the students on good training mechanics. One of the skills we were teaching in the Foundation Skills for Agility and Beginning Agility class was circle work, and that's like fast heeling for agility, where you want your dog fighting to stay in heel position, and that doesn't mean you fighting to stay in foraging heel position or lagging heel position. You really want your dog motivated and wanting to stay engaged and connected in that side-by-side, moving in the same direction like school of fish with the handler. So backing up to how do you teach this skill to new dog trainers, the first thing they needed to learn was heeling. And the added benefit of them learning heeling was it provided a great way for them to start every turn with connections. But one of the most interesting things about teaching new dog trainers with pet dogs is what experienced trainers think of as step one isn't step one for new dog trainers. There's like a bunch of step zeros. And as a result of having to really shrink things down into the tiniest slices or split behaviors, I developed this great way of teaching heeling that will not only make it possible for people new to dog training to build really good mechanical skills so that they're giving their dog clear feedback, which is what the dog needs to understand what they're doing. And if the dog understands what they're doing, they're going to stay engaged and stay motivated. So it gives them these great training mechanics, but for experienced trainers, it's a way to crispen up your mechanics. And my dogs were both good healers when I went into this, but every exercise that I worked and for every one I tried, I mean, I think probably 1 out of 3 ended up, making sense and working into what became this class. But I realized that there were mechanical details in the way I was engaging with my dogs about healing that could use a smidgy more precision to give my dogs even more clarity about what they're doing. So while this class is about training dogs to heal, it's as much about training people how to give their dogs the clearest, most concise feedback so that the dog learns to heal really fast and loves it because of the clarity.